أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. I'm very happy, I'm very honored to be in this special venue. Sania, who supported me in my journey of dawah to spread Islam, and also to spread Islam from the perspective and understanding of the Ahlul Bayt. I'm very, very grateful and very happy to be here again with friends, family, and close ones. I'm also very happy to be here and see the young people that I knew from many years ago, growing up, still attending the mosque and greeting us all with courteous behavior. We are also here in occasion of sadness. My talk today is about the Imam Hussein, alayhi salam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And his revolution. I've called this talk Fantasy, Reality, and Cognitive Dissonance. I will explain to you later what cognitive dissonance is. It's a psychological term that describes a state of the mind where people are ill and mentally crippled. I want to talk today about Islam and what people believe Islam is. And today, I hope that we will have an understanding, a realization that today, Islam is at the forefront of the struggle of all oppressed peoples in this world. And how Imam Hussein, alayhi salam, should be an international symbol for oppressed people to fight and strive for justice. A number of months ago, I was in a discussion with some individuals, and they were talking about what is great and who is great. And various names came up, and I listened to this conversation. But I asked the people to try and understand what is great. What is the greatest thing that you can do as individuals? We look on television, we see that Ellen MacArthur sailed around the world on her own. And people are saying that this is great. We have individuals in history called Alexander the Great. And people think that he is great. We live in a country that is called Great Britain, and people think that this is great. But I know something about this word great. And the young people here, I want you to understand the meaning of great. When you do something great, it's when you do something for somebody else and you do not profit from it. In Islam, the greatest thing that we can do is to sacrifice, because there is no gain for the individual. You do this for the sake of Allah. You do this to create peace and justice in this world. There is no greater sacrifice, human sacrifice, than that was made of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. In this conversation with these people, I told them of who I felt was great. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Imam Ali alayhi salam. One individual asked me, who is Ali? And I was surprised that they don't know of Ali. I told them, if you know Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, then you will know Ali alayhi salam. Why will you know this? Because if you are the seeker of knowledge, you will know that our great beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the city of knowledge. And Imam Ali alayhi salam is the gates of knowledge. So if you want to go to find knowledge, seek truth, then you must go through the gates. And you must go through Ali. Then I mentioned some other people who I felt were great. Do you know of Hassan and his brother Hussein? Do you know what their title was? Do you not listen to your khutbahs and how they mention Hassan and Hussein and say that they are the youths of paradise? What I was trying to do was to introduce these people to the Ahlul Bayt, the family of our beloved Prophet, peace be upon them. Of Ali, we see that he is the gates. When you walk through these gates, then you realize the closeness of Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam to our beloved Prophet. So close were these youths of paradise that during Salat, when the Prophet was leading the Muslims in prayer, Hassan and Hussein would climb on the Prophet's back and the Prophet would pause in Salat until the children, his children he called them, would finish their game. Do you know these people? If you do not, you do not understand greatness. Today, I am going to talk about Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the Lord of the martyrs, the one individual who has made the greatest sacrifice for us to be here today and for us to be able to walk through the gates of knowledge to truth. We mourn today, we mourn during this month for our great martyr. But yet we see that in this world, there are some of our Muslim brothers and sisters who know nothing of this event and are involved in frivolous, trivial things during this period. The events at Karbala have shaped our consciousness and our understanding of ourselves, our faith, and where we should go in this life. Karbala is the one singular event in Islamic history that has defined our reality through our pain and through our tears and through our love of the Prophet Muhammad and his Ahlul Bayt. For those people who are not aware of the Ahlul Bayt and the seriousness of this issue, I will say to them, if you know Abdullah Nazir Uhuru and you say you love Abdullah Nazir Uhuru as your brother and your friend, if I pass away, will you look after my children? Will you care for them? Will you love them? Brothers and sisters, if I depart from this world, I know that there are people who will care for my children. So I ask the Muslims today, do you love the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? What type of love do you have for the Prophet, peace be upon him? If you do not love Imam Ali, alayhi salam, Fatima, alayhi salam, Hassan, Hussein, alayhi salam, then you do not love the Prophet, peace be upon him. This is a challenge to you today. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah for Imam Hussein's sacrifice. He gave his life with no gain for himself, so we can be here today. He saved Islam from total annihilation through his blood. And without him, we would be like lost sheep, wandering. You see today people who have no guidance, no basic morals, no understanding, only desires for themselves. We would be in that position if it wasn't for the sacrifice of our holy Imam, alayhi salam. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We would be involved in pomp and ceremony, enjoying ourselves, pretending that we love the Prophet, peace be upon him. But Allah is good to us. In this time of darkness, in Islam, Allah lets a light shine. A light for us, so we can be free, physically, emotionally, spiritually, free. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said that the Ahlul Bayt are like beacons. You have beacons when you are lost. They shine a light and guide you to safety. This is the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. He told us that the Ahlul Bayt will speak truth to us, so we know where to go, so we know where to put our priorities in this life. The holy Imam alayhi salam, Ali, he said we must run to the Ahlul Bayt like thirsty animals at a watering hole. This reason being because our thirst for knowledge, for love and understanding will be quenched if we put our trust and we understand and respect the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So we go to Karbala. We look at this tragic event. There, alone in the desert, we have the light of Islam shining through Imam Hussein. We look and see Who is Imam Hussein? He's the son of Ali, alayhi salam, son of Fatima al-Zahra, alayhi salam. He's the grandson of a holy prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him. What a beautiful line. What a beautiful lineage. So much that this is mentioned in the Holy Quran about the Ahlul Bayt, that they are purified by Allah's hand. Who do we have on the other side? We have thousands of soldiers looking for blood, looking to kill our Savior of Islam. What about the lineage of Yazid? Shall we go through his family history? We have Yazid, who even the European scholars would tell you was a drunkard and a liar, and a tyrant to his own people. Yazid, son of Muawiyah, another tyrant. Muawiyah, son of Abu Sufyan, and Hind the cannibal. Are these the people that we should follow? No. No. We must follow the Ahlul Bayt. We must follow those who are purified, not self-appointed leaders and tyrants. In history, this is seen as the classic battle between good and evil. You cannot get no family purer, sweeter, and fairer, and just than the family of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. You will find no people more treacherous, devious, cruel than that of the family of Abu Sufyan, Muawiyah, and Yazid. To my Muslim brothers and sisters across the world, you do not understand bravery until you understand the events of Karbala, where the followers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam stood in front of our Imam and protected him from the arrows of the enemy whilst he performed salat. You do not understand bravery until you understand the events of Karbala. It is our duty to recite those events to each and every one. Karbala is a global issue. It is not an issue for just Sunni, for Shia, and for Muslims, because it is about humanity. It's a human issue. So we must discuss this with our friends, our colleagues. We don't want to hear about Robin Hood and all these people. This is fantasy. Let us talk about the reality of sacrifice. Young children, you do not understand thirst and hunger until you understand Karbala. You do not understand loss unless you understand Karbala. For this month, Islam, we had the greatest loss. We have people today who boast they are Sayyids. Do they know the last survivor of Karbala? Do they know where they have come from? Do they know about Zainul Abidin alayhi salam and the trauma he would have gone through at that event? I mentioned the word fantasy. Our Muslim brothers and sisters are living in a fantasy. If you want to protect people from reality, you manufacture fantasies. Our brothers and sisters in this Muslim world today are living in a fantasy. And it is our duty to bring them to the reality of life through the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The face of Imam Hussein is said to be one of the beautiful faces of Imam Hussein. We know the beauty of the Ahlul Bayt, their kindness and generosity and love for the oppressed, for the slaves, for the poor, and for the orphans. They're the most beautiful people who have lived on this earth. So in the battle of Karbala, Yazid and his men, what did they do to that beautiful face of Imam Hussein? They severed the head. These people are barbarians. They severed the head and play with the head of Imam Hussein like a toy. This is the face that the Prophet used to kiss. This is the face that rested on the Prophet's lap for comfort. And you raise it on a stake. And after this, you do prayers. Who are you praying to? These people call themselves the pious people of this time. And you can do this to the singular person who has saved Islam from tyranny. Brothers and sisters, you feel the pain. You feel the pain because of the love we have for Rasulullah and his family. This is love. With the love comes pain. The liars and tyrants that persecute us because of our love of the Prophet and his family are aware of this. I talked to you about this mental state, cognitive dissonance. This is a social scientific term. If you want to control people, you create a fantasy for them. After the death of the Prophet, peace be upon him, a fantasy is manufactured. A fantasy to protect people from reality. The pain we feel, the suffering. Cognitive dissonance is a way to control and oppress people. If you do not recognize the Ahlul Bayt, then you are oppressed and you are controlled. And you're given a false reality. People who suffer from cognitive dissonance are suffering from a learning difficulty. Because when reality is given to them, they vomit. Intellectually, mentally, they vomit. Because all of their lives, they have been fed a lie. When the reality of Karbala is brought to them, intellectually, spiritually, they vomit. Because they say, this cannot be, you must be lying. Because their mind is trapped in a fantasy. They do not share this reality that we are in. And it is our job to take them out of that fantasy. Imagine you have been raised in a household, cared for, into adulthood. Till you are 35, your parents care and look after you. And one day, you realize that the people who have been caring for you are not your family. The man you loved is not your father. The woman who cared and nurtured you is not your mother. It's all a fantasy. This is what happens when we bring the reality of Karbala to those Muslims who do not respect and love the Ahlul Bayt. Their fantasy world is shattered. And they would rather accept fantasy than reality, because they cannot cope with the pain and the suffering that we are going to go through this month. Not just this month, but all throughout our lives. We think of Imam Hussein, his family, the suffering, the struggle, being shackled, being humiliated. We think of this. We take that pain within us and we strive as Shia to survive, to hold our head up and have dignity. This is the struggle. But there's a bigger battle now. I have never heard the word Shia mentioned on television so many times. Shia, 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 majority Shia, Shiite. This is our time. 10 years ago, you could say Shia and nobody would have any inclination of what you are saying. This is our time. Allah has promised us this. This is our opportunity to bring back the respect and dignity of our madhab, to bring the understanding to the people of what we believe, what we really believe, and who we really love. Brothers and sisters, I'm not lying. This is not passion. This is not jazba. Look on the television and see that now this is your time. The gates for dialogue, for understanding, are now here for us. And we must seize this opportunity. We must help the patient with their cognitive dissonance. It's not going to be easy. But I know this institution is a place of learning. I've seen the young boys here and girls study. I've seen the awards and the medals that the young people have for their efforts and studying. But now we're at the time of sacrifice, where we do something great for no reward. And this means for us to go out into the world, especially at this occasion, to talk about our beloved Imam Hussein. Ashura Ashura Day, what it means, why it happened, who's the good guys, who's the bad guys. People ask me who do not know about Islam, and I explain about Ashura Day and Imam Hussein alayhi salam. They say, Abdullah, how can this be a victory? Why did your Imam go, only 72 people, and meet thousands? How is this a victory? I say this is a victory because I am stood here, and I am Shia. From the most hated sect in the world, I'm here. We are here. We are reciting the words of our Imams. We have Najul Balaga to guide us. We remember Fatima Al-Zahra, the model child, the model daughter, the model wife. And we ask our sisters, our daughters, and our wives to emulate, to imitate, to follow the infallibles. This is why we have a victory. We are not following people. We're not following conjecture. We're not following people's fancies. We are following the people, the bedrock, the beacons, and the light of Islam. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
We understand the word treachery. We understand the meaning of cover-up. We must relate that now. I'm asking everybody here now. This is a challenge to your manhood, to my manhood, to your womanhood, your sisterhood. Do not let the sacrifice of Imam Hussein be just on your lips. Let it be in your hearts. Let it be your sword. Let it be your shield. Because good days lie ahead for our people. Allah has opened the gates for us. We must use this opportunity now to rescue people from their mental illness. This is our time. If we look across the world today, how many countries can we say are Islamic states? They claim to be Islamic states. How many? The majority of Muslim countries across this globe are controlled by puppets. Puppets of America. In the eyes of America, democracy is a state that they control. So Egypt is a democracy because Hosni Mubarak, that's what Bush says. You want to find the real believers in Egypt? You go to the prison cells. That's where they are. Another democracy is Saudi, because they pay for their democracy. They pay America for democracy. So they're okay. There are very few. The real leadership of Islam will come from the households of you here today. It will not come from elected people who wear shirts and ties and suits and sit down with our knees. People like Yazid of that time. We have Yazid today. The real leadership of Islam is in this room here today. And I can feel it beating and pumping in the hearts of you people here today. The battle between good and evil in this society is the battle between the state and the family. The family is where you rear leaders. That's why we look to the Ahlul Bayt, because it's the family with a proven track record of excellent leadership. So this we follow. In the time of the revolution in Iran, the Westerners asked Imam Khomeini, where are your soldiers? Where are your people for this revolution? Khomeini told him that my soldiers are sat on the laps of their mothers. This is crucial. Leaders don't come from institutions, colleges, community centers. They come from pious women who fear Allah. That's where the leaders come from. That's where Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam came from, a pious woman. So this is what we need. And we need to support those women as men. This is our role. I'm asking you today to join a global movement where we remember Imam Hussein alayhi salam in our actions. So we speak up against injustice of Muslims and non-Muslims. We speak up against injustice against the orphans in our lands. We speak up for the rights of women. We protect our mothers because heaven lies at their feet. Most of all, Imam Hussein alayhi salam must not be words on the tips of our tongues. It should be action. I repeat that this is our time. Watch the news. Listen to how many times you hear the word Shia. It's a calling to us to seize this moment. People who are not Muslim, we need to speak to them. We need to invite them to Islam. And we need to tell them about the Ahlul Bayt. More so, we need to tell them, because this world is a terrible place at the moment, we need to tell them about sacrifice. And I can not give you, or anyone else, a greater example of human sacrifice than our beloved Imam Hussein alayhi salam.